Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. The weather is finally nice in Seattle
Oh, that's good. That's good. No rain. No rain today.
today. That's
Today.
that's safe. Yeah, today.
Ah, so I'm here with Kevin Harris, Associate AIA. Kevin is the Director of Sales and Marketing at AGS Stainless Incorporated, AGS, a railing manufacturer specializing in 100% off-site fabrication of custom railing systems. Prior to his position with AGS, Kevin founded 4 industry-leading firms, including 2 information technology firms, one specializing in the creation of web-based process management tools for Fortune 100 corporations, and one that specialized in building predictive modeling applications for federal agencies. He also founded a real estate development firm that spearheaded the restoration and redevelopment of a historic seaport community's downtown waterfront, as well as organizing and founding a community bank. Mr. Harris currently serves as a member of the Board of Trustees for the National Association of Home Builders Leading Suppliers Council, LSC, and he also serves as a trustee for the NAHB Remodelers Council. Additionally, he serves on the executive committee for the American Institute of Architects National Custom Residential Architects Network, CRAN. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Michelle.
So we had that one photo that you sent me. That was that the seaport project?
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
that so you can see,
Yes.
like I this old building that was 40 years abandoned in the downtown area that sat out over the water. The water actually came underneath the building when the tide came in. I restored that old building. That was a really great project. Got to use a lot of local craftsmen. We reclaimed the old timbers from the building when we restructured it. And so you had this 1800s clear Douglas fir posts that we milled down to make cabinet faces for the condos. Just super fun project.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I'll post a picture of it in the blog.
Cool.
Yeah, I love old brick buildings. I would love to have an old loft somewhere. Maybe,
Oh yeah.
maybe someday.
You're young. Yeah, you're young.
I'm young-ish, I guess. I don't know. compared to, I don't know, compared to some of the people that were on some of these groups with. But so what are your first recollections of experiencing architecture?
Well, for me, I am like an artist at heart, and I am always noticing artistic expressions wherever they can be found. And I think, it's just really enjoyable to go through a community or explore an area and see the structures that are there and the differences, and then becoming aware of differences over time. Like in that community I was mentioning where I did that restoration, that community was a very vibrant seaport in rivalry with New York, but just on the other side of the country. And then all of a sudden traffic stopped, ship-going traffic centralized around New York. So rather than having the normal dynamic where the community continues to grow and you tear down the old buildings and you build new ones, all business stopped in that community. And so all those really cool 1800s Victorian homes and buildings, it was just like a time capsule. And, if you appreciate art and you see that kind of stuff, it just really is just so wonderful. So yeah, I would say I've always been very interested in artistic expression, and there's certainly no better example of it than great architecture.
So did you grow up there? Did you grow up in New
No,
York?
I was born in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And Julie, who's a member of the CRAN advisory group, told me that the hospital I was born in is now a very nice hotel in Chicago. It's it kind of surprised me because it's a massive, massive building, Cook County Hospital, and The Fugitive. You remember that show with Harrison
Oh,
Ford?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
the
so a
movie, yeah.
lot of the hospital scenes, that's where that was that hospital, Cook County. And it's now a really nice hotel.
Huh. Was it an old building or was it
Oh yeah,
like
that building's been there forever. I'm old.
oh,
So
okay.
if it was there as the hospital I was born in, yeah, it's old.
Well, I'm not that, I think I'm around the same age as you, but the hospital that I was born in was like not, I mean, it's still there, I'm sure, but it wasn't any, I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I wasn't born in like a hospital that was like architecturally significant. I was born in St. Clair Hospital, and that's like in the suburbs, and it was built in this, like 50s, 60s or so. Yeah, it wasn't.
It got the job done.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm sure it doesn't. I've never even seen it. I just know that it was not an old hospital. Yeah, yeah. So it was probably cutting edge. I mean, that's probably the reason why. Yeah, yeah. My grandmother had my mom in like McGee Women's Hospital in Pittsburgh, and that is still there and still
Wow,
functioning. Yeah, yeah.
that's
She was.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's um. So, what are three classic buildings that you like and why?
Three classic buildings.
And you don't have
Well,
to say classical. They're not classical. There could be classic. Yeah, just like
okay,
as far. Yeah, yeah. From any
that'll be
time period.
that'll be easier for me as a uh, product manufacturer because I'm kind of not really thinking about periods, just kind of thinking about use and look and
Yeah.
usability, and that's how product manufacturers is what we focus on.
Hmm.
But just in terms of uh, just like going for it, when I was in Barcelona and I toured the Gaudi um, cathedral, it's
Uh-huh.
just like, wow, it's like, just go for it. Just like amazing. Just truly, truly an amazing project. You know, that's just really, that structures something else. So I like that one.
Uh-huh.
Um, I really, I really do like the I don't know if it's still called the Experience Music Project building here in Seattle.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, what is it called now? Yeah, yeah. I do. We didn't get a chance because when I took like my boys up to Seattle, but everything was like closed. Everything was still closed, so we didn't
yeah,
get a chance to like seal up. But I think we walked by that, and then we also saw Stephen Hall's Chapel of Saint Ignatius.
yeah. So so that's a good one
Mhm.
that I enjoy, just the different forms. And I think a lot of neat things are happening with architecture because, with the newer software tools like Rhino and the others, it's like the designers can just, can you imagine it? Well, basically it can be created. I was at an
Yeah,
event
yeah.
in DC just a few weeks ago, co-sponsored by the Department of Housing and Urban Development and the National Association of Home Builders, called the Innovative Housing Showcase, and
Hmm.
they had a 3D printer
Uh-huh.
on. We were all on the National Mall in DC, and a 3D printer out there showing us what can be done in terms of creating housing with a 3D printer. And
Yeah,
that was just the coolest thing ever. So I like that technology is allowing architects to be able to not be just totally limited in terms of how they design, but they can really just do some cool stuff.
hmm,
Let's
yeah,
see, I got one more to go.
yeah. You had this what Sagrada Familia, and then the What was the one that it was the experience? You said it was the experience.
Yeah, I don't know if it's called Experience Music Project Building anymore.
Experience. Okay, but at least I'll know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Same architect that worked on the oh, I'm blanking out now, but
Okay.
cool rounded out structures and stuff. It'll come to me in a
Okay.
second. And then I don't know. I gotta keep thinking of number 3. Next question. I'll come
Okay.
back.
What do you like about working to support residential architects in architecture? Because Kevin is a product rep, and so he and Liza Kevin was kind of did the whole continuing ed for AIAU, and that's why I've done like all of the panelists for the AIU about publishing, getting your work published, and this is the digital edition, and then later on it's the print edition, right, in the fall.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I would say my philosophy in life is if you help others reach their goal, they will help you reach your goal. And so I have found that to be a very powerful dynamic. And because our company makes custom railing out of stainless steel, we're usually the most expensive material that you could fabricate railing from. There's certainly many materials that are commonly used for railing fabrication, but if you're going to go with stainless, there's a lot of less expensive options. And then stainless is not an easy material to work with. So if you're going to build railing system out of stainless, you need skilled labor, and that kicks up the price. So when I see stainless railing on a project, whether it's a custom home or a university or campus or a Lexus dealership, whatever, I'm 99.9% sure there was an architect involved. Because again, for builders, there's so many less expensive materials that it's just easy for their teams to work with. They don't have to hire a fabricator. When there's stainless on the project, there's pretty much an architect said, on this project, this is my project that I designed. I want railing that says, hey, take a look at me. Like this is awesome. Here I am. And so I realized that, in this space, our firm owes a lot to architects. And one of the things that I really wanted to do, as I got to learn, working with more and more architects, strengths and things that weren't really go-to strengths for them, was that a lot of architects are fantastic at creative design. They're really great at big picture. They're great at seeing the solution to challenges, of just imagining what could be. But one of the challenges that I found was that it's very hard. I teased you about this before we started the recording.
Yeah.
It's very hard for a lot of architects to take time away from the other important things they have to do and promote themselves. And that's just something I'm very good at. I'm in sales and marketing. So I realized that, I could really help the customers, the clients, the friends, the partners that we have grow their business by helping them to better communicate what they were able to offer through their services. And it was very easy and very comfortable for me to do that, where many of the architects that I was working with at local CRAN chapter in Seattle, that was really a struggle. And in terms of not just, okay, here's a great idea that we want to get promoted. It's not just that simple. It's how you tell the story. Like if you have spent a good deal of time in sales and marketing, you realize that storytelling is very, very powerful. You don't just say, oh, I've got this thing. You create the story. You figure out how to communicate a way to put the person in the story so that they're experiencing it. And so that they're like, man, I get it. I love it. I want it. So that's all the stuff that I do all the time. And I thought, I can really give a little hand here, because this is just something that I know very, very well. So what is it we're going to do? Okay, how are we going to craft the story? How are we going to communicate the story? And so for me, that's how it all started, is realizing that, I have some skills that all architects either may not have, or it may, be like eating broccoli, where you're just like, man, I'm an adult now. I don't have to eat broccoli, but you know what? You got to get your message out, and I found that I can help do that.
Yeah, I do like broccoli. I don't like broccoli.
Well,
I'm
good
like
for
one of those
you.
people that, yeah, I'm like one of those people that like likes healthy food, and so it's not really been, I'll only eat it if it's like the only thing. Like I'll only eat potato chips if there's absolutely nothing else to eat, like at a party or something, like during the summer or whatever. And that's probably the only time that I'll be drinking a soda, like with, because otherwise I typically don't drink soda.
You're gonna outlive all of us, Michelle.
No, no. Hey, so it was the Experience Music Project building is the Museum of Pop Culture now by Frank Gehry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
I'm
what.
still working on number 3.
Oh well, that's okay. But I mean, you know what I think is really. I mean, you can still think. You can still keep thinking about it.
Frank took our continuing ed course.
He did.
He did, yeah.
Really?
He did. our AIA CEU course on prefabricated ornamental railing, offsite, 100% offsite railing. We have that on our website, and we've offered it through Arc Record. And so he took our course through Arc Record. And, I'm going through looking at all the graduates, and there's Frank's name there. And it was such a cool experience. You're like, wow, he took our CEU course. Anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that was like one of the Starchitects actually came to one of the the California Architects Board, right? We have our California supplemental exam, and so there was a Starchitect that had not been licensed, and they finally got licensed, but they were coming in to do their orals, and of course we were like, all like, oh my gosh, so and so's here, because he's taking the
Wow.
exam to actually get licensed, and of course. Like when I was giving the exam, I was probably in my late 30s. So there were people there that were like they were heads of these big firms, and
they were icons of the industry.
Yeah, they weren't licensed yet. So
that totally reminds me, this may be slightly off topic, but I remember when I was always the youngest person in all of the professional things that I was doing. And then we had a little family get together over the holiday weekend. And I realized that I was the oldest person there. That is very, very sad, Michelle.
Oh, in your family?
Yeah, well, family and friends. And, and I realized that the days of being the youngest person in the group have passed for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have kids?
I do, yeah, 28 and 22.
Because if you have kids, right, then so those are, my oldest is going to be 28, and then the youngest is going to be 22, and then I have one in between the two also. But the thing is that if you don't have kids, then people, like, the passage of time is like this, like, so people will say, oh, how old is your kid, Kevin? Like, what are they entering like kindergarten? And you're like, no, they're 22. And then they're like, what? Like,
it's true.
So they're really like stuck, like they still think that they are the youngest person at the party. And really, it's your kid.
It's true.
Yeah. And then you kind of have to tell them, like, no, they're, they can get a drink with us, right? Like when you're somewhere. Right? When you're there, like we were in
Yeah,
Seattle and we were with a friend, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't know whether," and I'm like, "Oh no, they're legal age. Like we can go." So we went to one of the breweries up there that was called
nice.
St. Ignatius, and I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "They can have a beer. I mean, they won't drink a beer because they don't really like beer, but they but they can but we can go in somewhere that where they're legal." So I mean that's
Yeah,
a good thing
same
about.
thing. Same thing for me. My kids aren't really into beer, so yeah, we could get in. They could. We don't have to wait for a table. We can sit in the bar because they're all over 21 and they can
Mhm.
order a root beer.
And we did go to the Starbucks, which
Down
I
at the Pike Place Market, that one.
the one where they have all of they're roasting all the beans, and they have all of the different types of
Yeah, that's up on Capitol Hill. Yeah,
okay, yeah. Yeah, so we went there because we walked all the way from St. Ignatius, we walked all the way back to the hotel down on the wharf.
that's a good walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they went, and then that was when it snowed. It snowed when they went down in the pool, and it was an indoor outdoor pool, and they came up and they were like, "It's snowing." And I'm like, "What?" And I like looked outside and it was snowing, and
Yeah, it
yeah,
does
they were,
happen from time to time
yeah.
here. It's
It does
not
in January.
it it's not safe because nobody knows how to drive in the snow. So most definitely if it starts snowing, you should lock yourself in the hotel room because we have one snowplow for the entire city of Seattle. And it's funny, like when I'm back east and it's snowing, nobody slows down
No,
on the expressway.
no.
They go the exact same 75 miles they were going per hour when it was dry and clear and sunny. but but
Or
here,
raining. Or
yeah, or
raining.
anything,
Yeah,
they're just
yeah.
still driving.
I
But
know.
here, man, oh man, if it snows, people like slow down to a crawl, but then they still are spinning out. And
Yeah,
yeah, it gets scary.
yeah,
So if
yeah.
you see snow, lock yourself in your hotel room.
Well, we had to leave the next day. So we had to,
Okay.
so we're like, okay, we better get to the airport where, they're like, oh, we're de-icing the wings, and my boys had never, right? Like I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I don't even think I ever flew, when you're younger, how often do you fly? And I
Right.
certainly was probably not flying when it was snowing outside. But um, yeah, they were like, oh, what are they spraying on the in fact, one of my kids was like saying, "Oh, when they were spraying something on the wings," and I'm like, "They weren't spraying that on the." He thought it was like some other thing. I'm like, "No, it was like the icing stuff." So like,
Yeah, I
something
think
like
it's like an alcohol
fire.
thing to
Yeah,
de-ice. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Um. So that was what you liked about working to support residential architecture, right? And then what would you like to say about the future of architecture?
I really like that question.
Mhm.
Because
You're future forward. You are future
yeah,
forward, and that's like great because most architects would be like, "Oh, I don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks like."
yeah. No, I totally get that. And I- yeah, I've taken up golf recently. I really enjoy it. And
Oh,
just recently they have been having these challenges because there's a new golf league that started up, and the big golf league has come out and just really flexed their muscles and saying, if you can't play for us and play for the new league. And as a business person, I'm like, I understand when you have something that you've been comfortable with, a dynamic, and then somebody else is going, hey, I got something better that I want to bring to the market. That can be a little bit scary. And I think that in the profession of architecture, there is a lot of that kind of uncertainty on behalf of those who've practiced for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to just like acknowledge that if change never happened, we'd still be in horse-drawn buggies. And
Yeah.
as amazing as that was at the time, that would definitely have been a limiting factor for us today, right? So with architecture, I think to the extent that those who've been practicing for a while can make peace with kind of what I would say is a fundamental thing of being in business. And being in business, I'm also including just the business is you, where you have a job and you perform services and you are fully responsible for moving your business, you and your career forward. As soon as you realize that if you allow yourself to become stagnant in your skills, you are at risk. Just like if you made like the most amazing buggy whip of all time, where everyone said, you know what, when it comes to buggy whips, the XYZ company is like there's no finer way to build a buggy whip than what they're doing. And you just continue to make your buggy whip better and better and better. At some point, you'd be out of business because the industry moved beyond you. And so the kind of same thing here, where to the extent architects are able to say, things have been great, we've made good money, we've already had great opportunities or whatever it is, but there's no way to just hold things back.
Mm-hmm.
It's far better to keep our personal skills current. Yeah. So that we are always highly valued in what we do, and we don't allow the industry to move beyond us. We're always relevant because we're both aware of and comfortable with the new tools.
Yeah.
So I see lots of really good things coming, and I see lots of people looking at the industry from a different, really neat perspective. And that's when great things happen, when people come to something with a different perspective and look at it from a different angle. And then all of a sudden there's tremendous breakthroughs that happen. I think that's all great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just hope that as a community, we continue to recognize that change is inevitable. Good things can come from change.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the young people, right, who are more attuned to change because they're not as vested in what was before.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for ways to break out.
Yeah.
And so then if we are embracing them and the change that they inevitably bring to an industry, and we work to keep our skills up so that we're always current and relevant, then it's just a win-win for the end user, for the consumer.
Yeah. And I mean, really, that's what creativity is, right? It's like looking at things in new ways. I mean, that's really kind of creative and thinking. If you're looking at it in the same, if you're always thinking of, if you're always thinking that your buggy is going to be the best. Your buggy whip. Yeah. I mean any of that. I mean, it's funny. I mean, it's just interesting. I don't know, people's perception. I mean, and it's true. It's like, instead of saying, okay, I mean, a lot of firms, they want like younger people to like take over the practice, right? And I think that they really, a couple of my friends have asked me like, okay, how are we going to get these people to, to invest in the firm? And I said, well, why do you have to have them, invest in the firm past a certain point? Like, why do they have to become an associate in order to do that? Because, back in the day, Kevin, I mean, it was super difficult for people to even be asked to be an associate, right? So it's like, maybe, and I never went through that because I didn't care, right? I just have, I had my own firm, And so it didn't really make any difference to me whether some other firm wanted me to become an associate, with that. Because I was in, right, I'm challenging myself. I'm not, I'm not competitive in that way. It's like I'm
Yeah.
competitive with myself. And as long as, it's like I'm always trying to improve myself. So people were saying, well, how do we get people to invest in the firm? It seems like they don't want it. And I said, well, it's like maybe they're not there for a long time. Maybe this whole associate thing is like, maybe that's not the way that you have your firm anymore. Maybe it's
Right.
more of this fluid thing where people are, if they want to work on a project at somebody else's office, like, okay, so big deal. Like they're gonna, so maybe to keep people, with the projects, like get better work, treat your
Yeah.
employees better, don't like just, like flexible schedule. Like I said, oh, flexible schedule and um uh there was another thing that I said, and the person that was heading the firm said, I don't want to do that. And I said, okay, well, that's, you asked me, I told you, it's like that. If you don't want to follow that because you don't believe that that's the way, or you're only, if people can only look at their own, right, at their own experiences, it's like they're not going to be able to grow their firm with, with other people because they're only look, right. It's like people whose, parents raised their kids or whatever and they were able to do that, and then some people weren't able to do that. It's like you can't, it's like you have to take that into consideration when you want moms to come and work for you, and dads, right,
Yeah.
and dads. It's like you have to say, okay, I am going to offer flexibility of schedule, it's like I am going to do that, and not just say like, well, I didn't have to do that, or why do you have to raise the kids? It's like you're a woman, but why do you have to raise the kids? Like, why don't you have your husband raise the kids? Well, like maybe their husband doesn't want to raise it, right? Maybe they want to work
Yeah.
at it together, but you can't kind of like come up with this idea of what you want another person to do. As far as it's more of like, okay, what do you want the firm to be? And then, and then start hiring, people, or letting them, ask, right? I've always like said, I said, well, why don't you, oh, well, how should we grow the firm? I said, why don't you ask these people, like, what do you want? Why don't you ask the people that are working there, what would you be interested in? What
That's
would
good
keep you
stuff.
here? Yeah. What would keep you here?
You know, that and just listening to you walk through that, it just reminds me of that pretty well-known saying when it comes to projects, and certainly growing your business is a project,
Hmm.
and it's begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference in the paths that you choose as you move forward.
Hmm.
So when you are thinking, I don't want to get to the point where I'm ready to retire, to start doing some other stuff in my life. I'm ready to sell the business, but the business is so dependent on you, it can't be sold,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so if
Yeah.
you are faced with the choice of never being able to sell the business, basically you have to just shut it down, and whatever you didn't take out as salary is lost because the business, nobody else can run it if you're not there. That's one option. Or you make choices along the way that allow you to have a business that doesn't need your involvement.
Yeah.
All the things that need to be that need to happen to move that business forward are being done by people more talented than you, and they're all doing very well, and they're all very happy, and you could go away and the business is still going to just rock and roll. So you have to say to yourself, that's what I want. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to push back my little it's all mine, I get to make all the decisions, it has to go my way, blah 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 blah, because that kind of attitude does not facilitate other people staying with you and
Hmm.
growing the business together. So
Hmm.
you have to be willing to sacrifice to have that business be fully engaged and capable and successful without you, because you need other people to buy into your vision. And you have to say, the reason I'm going to provide these extra benefits or change this procedure or whatever is because I don't want to lose the really great people that I have, because if I don't provide them a path forward, they're going to leave and go find another opportunity that provides them a path forward. And all I'll be left with is the underachievers, the ones who have no vision. They're just like, can I have my check? Right?
Yeah.
So those are the
Yeah.
kinds of things that, unfortunately, unless you have one of the firms that help architects know from the beginning, when you're first getting started, how to move in a way that your business becomes a valuable asset instead of just a paycheck. You need someone with experience to walk you through it, because unfortunately, it's very expensive to learn this stuff on your own for the first time. You can waste a lot of time, a lot of years, deciding that this is not the kind of client I actually want.
Yeah.
So you consciously choose your clients. You and I talked about that a little bit earlier. It's like, as
exactly.
the business owner, you can choose your clients, and realizing I want clients that look like this. I don't want clients that look like this. If clients that look the way I don't want them to look approach me, not in terms of physically, but in terms of their budgets and in terms of what they're looking for and how difficult it is to work with them, then I'm going to have an exit strategy with those folks. And the people who perfectly match up with this type that I'm looking for, I'm going after that business hard, because those are my most profitable jobs. Those are the most enjoyable jobs. So again, it's just one of the best investments I think an architect can make if they're going on their own, is to join some kind of peer review group, or to either join, like, I know, Michelle, you've worked with some of the guys and gals are helping architects, but becoming a part of a group where more experienced people can share best practices with you and help you to identify the end that you want, so that you can work towards that end instead of just having whatever happens. I think that's one of the best places you can spend some time when you're getting into the business of architecture.
Yeah. And I mean, people that are open about, I mean, like we've talked about, like, a marketing strategy, right? Because, typically, like, we don't, and sometimes that's like considered a bad word, right? That's a bad word. Like, marketing is a bad word in architecture, right? But the thing is that, in order to get the projects that you want, you have to do marketing that focuses on those projects.
Well, that's this whole series that we're doing on how to get published.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
marketing.
Yeah, exactly. It's marketing. Yeah, and they don't. It's funny. One of my friends, like, her husband said to her husband was a mechanical engineer, and he had worked for Ova Arup, and then she was an architect, and she had gone into architecture later on in life. Like, she got her degree. She got her master's, and it was like her second master's when she was 40, and so and she had a baby, like she graduated and had a baby like a week later or whatever, and then and then she had the second one. But her husband said, they're not going to be coming to the door and knocking and saying, so and so, we're here we're here to help you. He said,
unless you're selling drugs, I would totally agree with that.
Exactly. Yeah. They said they're not coming to the house. He goes, you have to go out and, like, do it. So she did go out, and she got kind of like there was a developer in town that he was going to buy these old buildings, and so she kind of got involved in that, and her husband got involved in that, and then then she had her studio there, and he had his office there, and so they really kind of like built this whole community there, and then also kind of this community building was kind of based on that. But it was kind of more about him like saying, yeah, nobody's going to come to the house and like say, oh, so and so come out, like come out and be an architect.
We've been waiting for you to finish your training. Let's go.
Exactly. And I mean, she had worked at another place, but she just said, they had moved back east, and she was in one, and she wasn't happy with, she wasn't happy being in a firm, right? Kind of for the same reasons why a lot of people, if they want, it's like they don't want to leave architecture, but there isn't a firm that will kind of have the flexibility of schedule that they can have when they move forward, and then then they feel like they've kind of have left the profession, and then coming back into the profession, there's that loss, right? Where where there's like years, but you just have to keep. I mean, I just always had a project going, even no matter how the kids, what stage of the game they were or whatever. I just always had a project going, and would just and now I have more projects, right? Because they're older. I've got more projects, but in order to like grow your firm and grow, but I think the selection is definitely the
Is
yeah.
there a comparative reference between time and energy for a kid and projects? Like, is the energy required to raise one kid equal to 6 projects? Like, is there a formula? Like, for every kid that moves out, you could take on 4 projects.
Oh my gosh. If everybody moved out of my house, Kevin, I could have like 50 projects going. Anyway. No, I'm like happy. I think I need like I don't know. I need a loft somewhere. I don't know where that loft is gonna be, but it's like I don't know. I definitely am to the point. I mean, I did a home office when I added on to the house, but I've already kind of outgrown the home office, and I guess I would like to. I mean, I probably will grow the practice in the next couple of years. Hopefully, we don't, depending on how the economy goes. But
Yeah.
I mean, I have the people that I have had a couple people draft for me, and those have been people that haven't, they're virtual. I mean,
Yeah.
I know them, but they're far away, and then they just do. So we only meet virtually.
And that's working out pretty good.
Um, yeah, it worked. It's like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing's perfect, but
Nothing is perfect. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I can't. I don't know whether, but yeah, I mean, I definitely do think that I like point a lot. So it probably would be better if I could meet with the person, in person every like once a week or something. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the way that I started, years ago. I when I had my baby, and then I started working for other people, and so I would just go over to the house, pick up the work, I'd have the baby with me, pick up the work, and then go back. So this is in Venice and Santa Monica area in like 1994. So people didn't have a problem with it there, then they were just kind of like, oh yeah. And I wasn't the only person that was there. I mean, it was out of this guy's house. He had started his own practice, and he didn't have an office anywhere. I mean, he ended up like building a studio, and then there was more room, and I wasn't working for him by then. By that time I was, totally engaged with my own practice, but I mean,
I definitely heard that that's one of the challenges from COVID of practices ramping up new people. The architects that I've talked to have said that it is so much harder to ramp up someone who's not in the office with you, because there's so many little things that you share when they're right there. You see they're doing something, you can comment on it. Like, it's all different when they're just by themselves off wherever.
Yeah. And I mean, this person was within walking distance of me. So it's like I could just walk, right? Because this is before, I mean, people didn't even use the internet, back in 1994. They didn't really use the internet that much. So I would go over to the I would go over there and I could go over and like meet, if there was something and,
Yeah.
hey, like come over and get this or something. And then we could just meet like that. And I mean, that would be, kind of ideal. But I mean, I think that, like flexibility of, I think it's definitely, I could be focused, more if I was in an office. And I mean, I think that once you kind of get, I mean, I liked working in an office. People kind of thinking, "Oh, did you not like working in an office because you've like worked by yourself or whatever?" And I said, "No, I mean, I like working in an office. I just couldn't have the flexibility of schedule as far as like working for somebody else,
Right.
you know." Um, and now I don't know who would even want me, because I've had my own practice for like almost 28 years now, and they're like, "Oh my God," it's like, what?
I would say this, in my opinion, there could be probably no better employee than someone that's been self-employed for a number of years. And I think my
Kevin, I
feeling on
think so
that
too.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, is
yeah.
that if you've been self-employed, you've run the business, you've done payroll taxes, you've had people calling in sick, you've had people do a blah, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to ever pull the wool over the person you're working for's eyes
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you've been
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So people that are experienced business people, they just understand. They understand what it's like to go home at the end of the day and not quit work because
Mm-hmm.
you got to deal with this and you got to deal with that, blah blah blah. So for me, because that's me now, I'm not self-employed, although I've had a lifetime of being self-employed. I work
Yeah.
for someone,
Yeah.
but I understand what it's like to do all of that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have empathy for my employers, and I think that I am a very very good employee,
Oh yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think that it's hard to properly value a person who has all that experience of being self-employed, what that brings to the table when they go to work for you as an employee, because it
Mm-hmm.
resonates out through everything they do, the way I interact with the other employees. Like for me, I always think of what's in the business best interest. So I'm not trying to make myself invaluable. I'm thinking, okay, if something happened to me, where would the company be? So
Mm-hmm.
I am constantly trying to ramp up the people that I work with so that if something happened to me, the business would continue on. Well, that's
Yeah.
what you do when you're a business owner,
Yeah.
right? That's not
Yeah.
how most employees operate, but I can't help it because I've been self-employed for decades. And
Yeah.
so I think that having someone who has been on their own for a while, bringing that person on could be one of the most strategically positive things a person can do for their business.
Okay. Well, if there's anybody out there that wants to bring me on.
There you go. There you go.
Oh. Oh, okay. Um, okay. Um, so did you think of the third? I just had I guess I have a meeting that I was supposed to go to, but with the contractor over there.
I
Speaking of
didn't. I did not think of a third, but what
you
I
had
would say
Sagrada
is,
Familia. Yeah, you had
yeah,
Sagrada Familia, and then the Gary Building,
yeah, I would say that I haven't. I've
Museum of
only
Pop
seen
Culture.
the like Falling Waters and those other incredible places, iconic places. I've only
Hmm.
seen pictures, but I really do have a great appreciation uh, for that architect's work. I
Hmm.
really think that just those early days of saying let's have the residents just fit naturally in the environment.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I think that's how a lot of architects think today is like that. And I
Yeah.
think that,
Yeah.
100 years ago to be doing that kind of stuff, or what is it? Maybe it's 85 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was the whole thing, and then also I thought what was interesting was him saying, right, because Kaufman wanted it up on the hill, And when Wright came to the site, he was like, "Oh no, we're not going to put it up on the hill. We're going to put it right here, like next to the water."
Yeah.
And of course, there's always people. I mean, I always like laugh because, people, you mentioned Franklin, right? Then immediately some people say, "Oh, all of his buildings leak." And I said, you know what? If that's the only thing, if that's the only complaint that you can make about somebody's building is like, "Oh, the buildings leak." It's like every building of that time period leaked, right? They
Yeah.
didn't have the technology to like keep anything out. But, you know, it's just always what about, is there anything in Chicago that, because we have this symposium coming up in the fall, and I'm going to go and see the Farnsworth House, even if it takes me an hour and a half, like each way or whatever. I'm just going to like do it on Sunday afternoon or something like that. But what?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the boat cruise
uh
because I've heard that it's a great way to just kind of get a nice little taste of
Mhm.
of architecture in Chicago. But we were just there a couple weeks ago for the AIA conference, and I gotta say, when I was driving back to the hotel from the convention center, driving up that main road, whatever it is, I don't remember, and I was going slow because I realized the architecture on that street was just truly amazing. And
I've
you're
never been to
trying to
Chicago
drive,
before, Kevin.
huh?
I've never been to Chicago before.
Oh, you're gonna be blown away. So you're trying to drive.
Uh-huh.
There's a ton of people, so you don't want to hit anybody. So you got to be careful of that. But you got like the most amazing architecture. There's a park kind of area on one side,
Uh-huh.
and the little bubble, the stainless bubble thing, that's all
Yeah.
on the one
Yeah. The
side.
bean.
Yeah, the being,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you've got these amazing building after building after building on the other side of the road. And you're driving and you're just taking it all in, and you realize that you are just enjoying an amazing experience.
Uh-huh.
So I think everyone's gonna have a great time at the symposium. I'm really looking forward to getting back there.
Oh yeah. 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 I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be a blast, Michelle.
I know. I think so. So everybody come to the CRAN symposium. You can see
September.
Kevin and I.
That's right.
Okay. So the third is just that boulevard in Chicago.
Is that it? Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And they got
Mark
that
on
pop.
Wednesday. What?
They
What?
got that popcorn that's half cheddar cheesy and half caramel corn. Do you know that one? Super
No.
famous. Oh, it's super famous. It's like, yeah, they put the cheese popcorn in with the kettle corn, and it's all
Oh
mixed up
my.
together. And
Oh
as
no,
you walk
Kevin.
by, they have the where they cook it, there's the vent, and it feeds out onto the street. So as you're just tourists walking by, you're just smelling the kettle corn, cheese corn. You cannot help yourself. You are compelled to go inside and buy some. It is totally marketing genius to just send all those smells right out onto the street.
Okay. You're gonna have to talk me into it.
It's good stuff.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And I'll just turn it off and then say goodbye. I'll stop recording.